Hey, what's up everybody, this is me24, and today I'm going to be taking a look at the Season 2 DVDs for Sergeant Frog. This is the original release, where they divided them into two parts for the box sets. There is a second updated release that they did for both Seasons 1 and 2, where they put both of them into one larger box set. Both parts of each season, rather, not both seasons. So there's one box set for Season 1 and one box set for Season 2. And I think those retail for like $34.99. You can probably get them cheaper now since they've been out for a while. But at the time, it happened to be that these were actually cheaper to get, so that's what I picked up. As with the first season, there's a single character for the sort of the box art theme, if you will. Season 1, it was Keroro. Season 2, it is Keroro. And there's some pretty cool box art on these cases. I think Funimation's done a pretty good job with that. So for this first part, you have obviously Keroro just kind of standing there with a standard pose. You have Tamama going all crazy. You have, oh shoot, I forget his name. Keroro, I believe, is the cartoon character from Keroro's favorite show. And then on the other box, you have the little reference to the soccer episode, and then the giant Aki Hinata robot that Kululu makes. Flipping around to the back, you have, just kind of a description of what is in either box set. And it's kind of weird because this one is sort of like just a flat finish to the box, whereas this one has a slightly glossy look to it. I don't know why that is, if they maybe just made some that were, flat surface and some of them that had the glossy surface. Not exactly sure. But anyways, this is a description of what the show is about. And then you have some extras on both. There's some recon data on the characters of the show, so just kind of information on who these characters are. You have the textless opening and endings, and then you have some trailers for other Funimation stuff. So not a ton of special features on either of these DVDs, but I do feel like, considering they're relatively inexpensive DVDs for a whole season, not too shabby. Sliding the individual cases out here, we have the first one, and you have Natsumi there on the front, and then again on the back, and this one has looks like 7 episodes on it, and each episode is like divided into 2 parts. So some episodes you'll have like a episode carryover from one half to the other, and other ones you'll have 2 completely different shorter stories. This disc has Momika on the front and on the back, and this one has 6 episodes. For the second case, the first disc has Fuyuki. I almost forgot his name there for a second. And the giant Robo Bear and like mech suit Momika when she goes crazy. And then again Fuyuki on the back there. Another 6 episodes. And then the last disc in the series has Aki Hinata. And then the back has her again with Fuyuki, and this one has 6 episodes as well. Each of the discs has the same characters that were on the front of the box. Anyways, it's just a little bit different artwork of them. So for those who are maybe not familiar with Sergeant Frog in general, or just didn't see a ton of the first season, it continues the kind of random misadventures of Sergeant Keroro and his armpit platoon of alien space frogs. In the first season, they came to Earth with the intent of conquering it, and as we find out, Keroro is a horrible leader for his platoon and would rather spend time making Gundam models than actually doing something worthwhile. And any plans that he actually does come up with fail miserably, but in the most spectacular fashion that it makes a lot of fun to watch. The first season had a lot of references to other anime and other films. It made like an Indiana Jones joke. Just a bunch of different pop culture references that were a lot of fun and really, I think, resonated, at least with me as a viewer. And I know a lot of other people have said it's one of the highlights of the series. It's also got one of the best English dubs I've ever heard in a series. Even though it was a comedy series, I think Todd Haberkorn does just a magnificent job as Keroro, bringing that character to life. So with Season 2, you have a continuation of that. it's one of those series where you really don't have to watch the episodes in any given order if you don't want to. The narrator will make reference to stuff from previous episodes, but it's really not a huge difference which order you watch the episodes in. Season 1 was very good overall, I felt. There was one episode in Season 1 that I really didn't like at all, and it tried to like poke fun at itself, but just kind of fell flat and was annoying more than anything else. This season completely does away with those. There's not any like disappointing episodes in it. So for me, I kind of feel like with Season 2, the high points might not be quite as high, but the low points aren't nearly as low as they were with the first season, because the first season was still trying to kind of find its own identity, and it did some experimenting early on, and I think for the most part it worked. There were a few, scenes in different episodes where it was like, I don't understand what relevance it has to the plot, and I don't, necessarily get this joke or whatever. But with Season 2, I feel like it knows where it's going from the start, and to that end, I think that it's executed a lot better. The pop culture references and stuff are still very prominent in Season 2, but a lot of times they're worked into the story of an episode. Because the series now has its own identity with Season 2, it's sort of, will make up its own story directions instead of making parodies and satires of other stuff, which was what Season 1 did a lot of. There's still some of that in this. There's actually still a lot of that in this, doing parodies and stuff. But it's all with a purpose to the plot of whatever, wherever the episode is going. So I definitely like that aspect of it. Like I said, the English dub is great. This is honestly one of the funniest anime and just funniest TV shows in general that I've ever seen. The way that they bring these characters to life and the way they execute the jokes and the way they pace everything is just fantastic. The animation is pretty good overall. It's not like outstanding. It's not particularly artistically driven like Fooly Cooly or something like that. But I think it works pretty well for what it is. You've got these bright colored characters. Since it is sort of a relatively family-friendly show, that said, it is sort of like your classic like 90s shows or Banjo-Kazooie or something along those lines, with video games, where you have even old Disney movies. That's a good example, I guess, where you have most of the story aimed at a younger audience, but every once in a while they'll sneak in a joke that you'd have to be a little bit older to actually get. So that's pretty great. A lot of those actually come from the narrator, who's just sort of the cynical guy who's always voicing his dissent for actually working on the show, and I think in the first season he actually ended up quitting at one point and then comes back because he realizes the show can't go on without him or whatever. But anyway, some great humor throughout, and if you should definitely check it out if you like comedy anime in general, or even just comedy shows. It's really, I think, an easy anime to get into, even if you're not a fan of anime in general. You're going to appreciate it more if you are familiar with your Gundam and your Evangelion and your Death Note and so on and so forth. But at the same time, I think it's just a lot of fun to watch in general. So that pretty much wraps up this review, and with that, I will see you guys next time.